it's Tulsi Gabbard's "Why I Left the Left" moment. Dave Rubin did this many years ago. I'm sure Jimmy Dore is soon to follow. And Tulsi, who, I have to take an L on this. You should get a W. You said this all along. But I got hoodwinked by Tulsi's talk of anti-interventionism and all this stuff in the 2020 campaign. I mean, I was still, personally supporting Bernie, but obviously we covered Tulsi. I thought, I thought most of what she was saying was genuine, but we saw, after Biden won, we started to see the evolution. While she was a congressman, she went on Fox News. I never had a problem with that, but we started to see her talk and her rhetoric and just the whole being. She had a political lobotomy and suddenly was an anti-woke parental rights warrior. So now it seems that it's a coordinated PR campaign today. She started with a video, "Why I'm leaving the Democratic Party." Then she comes out on Joe Rogan. So apparently she recorded with Joe Rogan recently, and that was coordinated to come out on this day. And soon the Triple Crown will be tonight. She's going on Tucker Carlson. But for those that have not seen Tulsi Gabbard's little diatribe from this morning, here is her on why she's leaving the Democratic Party.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me.
First of all, I think I can speak for you. I don't personally care that she's leaving the Democratic Party, whatever. Democratic Party, corrupt. They are warmongers. That's fine. So this is not a defense of the Democratic Party. But with that said, boy, was that a whole lot of white nationalists, Tucker Carlson diarrhea of the mouth from a complete shapeshifter grifter who I don't think she actually believes anything she's saying. I really don't. I don't even know if she genuinely is anti-interventionist at this point. I mean, I put out earlier, if she hates the Democratic Party cabal and the the war machine, why is she part of it? She was in the Horn of Africa last year hunting Al Qaeda. We got to be in Africa to hunt Al Qaeda. I mean, I'm not, if people want to serve in the military, that's fine. I respect service, but she is part of the thing that she says is the problem. And I think on the nuclear war part, she's absolutely right. Democrats have been stoking nuclear war. Republicans have been stoking nuclear war since I've been born too. So I don't really see the difference. But it just really goes to show you, and this is broader than Tulsi Gabbard, Steve, there is a sizable portion of the left that has really just guided with the wing to the right. And this isn't some like, oh, well, Jordan, this is just somebody who is trying to bring the, speak with the right wing to bring them over to the left. No. Let me explain this anti-woke brigade. Sure, limousine liberals, wine moms. Yeah, we go too far sometimes in terms of, what to say, what not to say, Latin X, this kind of stuff. But really what woke has become is just an invisibility cloak for people to be racist. That's really what woke now is. Right-wingers, so that they can say and do racist, bigoted, hateful things. cry, oh, stop being woke. And that's what Tulsi is buying into here. That's what she is fermenting. The other thing, before you go off, when she is pushing this shit about, the Dems are politicizing, going after their political opponents. Was she asleep during the Donald Trump presidency? Was she asleep as Donald Trump tried to weaponize the DOJ to go after every single political opponent, and the Republican Party was crickets like they are on everything Donald Trump? Was she asleep as Donald Trump's CIA? First of all, Donald Trump is the one that prosecuted Julian Assange, the CIA's number one political opponent. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about Obama, but at least he was smart enough not to prosecute Julian Assange, because he said, if I prosecute Assange, we're going to have to go after the New York Times. They do the same thing. It was Trump. Trump really had nothing to do with it. The CIA said, this is what we're doing, Donald. And he said, fine, give me my hamburger. The CIA under Trump weaponized and went after political opponent Julian Assange. And by the way, Yahoo News broke. They plotted to assassinate him. So I don't hear a lot from her on that. This is just, to me, this is like WWF wrestling. I thought it was real when I was growing up, and I was very disappointed when I learned it was all a show. The last thing I'll say, Steve, when she talks about anti-white racism, let's play Tommy Tuberville, the I think he's Alabama, maybe, senator,
Auburn.
Auburn. Let's play Tommy Tuberville over the weekend.
Some people say, well, they're soft on crime. No, they're not soft on crime. They're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bullshit. They are not owed that.
That must be the anti-white racism. The floor is yours.
Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi is a libertarian. She's been a libertarian. She's been on the radar for a long time, and no one would listen to me. But the fact is that I want to roll this back. If you read, there's a Twitter thread out there where she makes this bold proclamation about being anti-woke and anti-imperialist and anti all this stuff. Fuck the Democratic Party. Folks, I'm a registered Democrat simply because in Pennsylvania, they keep everyone else off the ballot. But I am anti-Democratic Party in terms of the way they behave, and they don't represent me anymore. They simply do not. So there's things that she says that us burners, people that were from the Bernie camp, really understand. We really get. It really kind of rings for a moment. But then she goes into the anti-woke stuff. And I want to be crystal clear on what anti-woke means to me. Okay. The Democratic Party has weaponized identity politics. It is the neoliberal strategy to balkanize the people. We already know this. It's anti-class solidarity. It's bad. However, what she's done, and this is the perversion of all Tulsi people, those kinds that sit there and think that she walks on water and have always thought she walked on water. The concept of being anti-woke means anti-awake, meaning you don't think that history somehow or another, you're locking everything in. History began today and there's nothing behind. You have no idea why we got where we are. You only look for, and so the idea of these people, especially the Tulsi sort, that believe that being anti-woke is somehow or another good. Who is standing up for gay and lesbian people? This is the concept of anti-woke. You mean to tell me these people who were beaten and destroyed and drugged from cars and everything else, you mean those people? Oh my God, fuck the woke, right? This is exactly what is being said. And the concept of black and brown people needing reparations for slavery, if you've done any homework, if you're not an absolute loser, folks, if you're not a loser, you will have done some homework to look at history. You will, losers, the who, the her, losers. Okay. If you're not a fucking loser, you understand the way history worked. You understand all the rules and laws that were put in place from the moment that the quote unquote slaves were released. And you understand every step along the way. The United States government has literally put in anti-vagrancy laws to make sure that the black people, the former slaves, are now suddenly capable of being captured and put back to work for the state. Then all of a sudden they got rid of that part of it and they shifted it around. They shift words. They've kept people in bondage from day one. And Sandy Darity laid out what this means and showed every step along the way. Those who say they're anti-woke are anti-understanding history. It's a sign of a loser. It's a sign of a neo-maxi Zundweeby. It's a sign of a person that doesn't have synapses in their brain firing on all cylinders. You can be anti-Democrat weaponizing identity politics. But the minute you go, quote unquote, I'm anti-woke, fuck the woke, you're a sign of a loser. Seriously, like a loser, big loser.
Steve, it's not just anti-woke. She's anti-white racism.
Oh, wait, we ain't even got there yet. Wait, I'm not even there yet. You look back at history and you look at the way every fucking one of these elections has gone in the actual bills that have been passed over time, and you realize from Jump Street, every polling thing, every voting thing has been done with the expectation of literally carving out segments to block any kind of Black solidarity, any kind of community movement. They have literally done everything they could to shatter and separate that. Every step along the way, there are real things going on for gay people in this world. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, the whole fucking shooting match. They have literally years and years and years of being killed, fucking killed. And there's Tulsi Gabbard, once again, being Turfy Gabbard, completely and utterly blind to anyone's cause outside of her own. If it can't involve a gun, if it can't involve being white, if it can't involve being a conservative, if it can't involve these fucking idiotic thoughts, and believe me, she is not anti-intervention. She is not anti-war. She is none of those things. Her history showed. In fact, they showed the anti-war movement. They gave her one of the shittiest fucking report cards ever because of all of her desires for war. So don't give me this fucking bullshit. Turfy is a pile of shit and always has been, even when she was a Democrat, because this isn't about Democrats. This is about knowing what is meaning to be left, what it means to be a shitball Democrat that just goes with the flow and keeps going rightward, and what it means to be a Sig Heil Republican / LOL Libertarian. Okay? She is absolutely Turfy. She is against trans people. She is against anyone. She is a fucking racist piece of shit. Okay. And I'm telling you right now, her track record is long and hard. I hated her being in Sanders Institute, but you know what? I'm not here to defend Sanders Institute, not mine to defend. I'm here to look at regular people. I'm here to look at the 99% class and all the other struggle that goes into it, and know full well that in order to achieve class solidarity, you've got to be able to represent intersectionality. And if that wokeness causes problems for somebody, that's more about you than it is about the people trying to help other people that are dealing with things that aren't in the mainstream, aren't in this narrow little box that conservative assholes have tried to bundle everyone into. Now, don't get me wrong. I have already said 3 times. I'll say it a 4th. The Democratic weaponization of identity politics is bullshit. And if that's what she's fighting against, I'm in solidarity with Tulsi. But when it comes down to this anti-woke shit, what she is doing is sidling up with white nationalism, people that are afraid they're going to lose their spot, people that benefited from slavery, people who have money passed on from generation to generation, that Black and brown people, slaves, the fucking people that indigenous and the slaves of this country, the people that were put into slavery as a result of the United States bullshit policies. Those people didn't have an inheritance passed on to them. In fact, they worked hard to give these people an inheritance and they got shit for it. So the idea of this anti-woke thing is truly Sig Heil all the way. A real honest to God Sig Heil. Okay? Sig fucking Heil. Okay, that is your Tulsi Gabbard. And I see there's other groups out there that supported her that I long since pushed away from, because I am a lefty. I am fighting for people. I'm fighting for class solidarity. I am fighting for a social order where we, the people, own the means of production. We, the people, are in charge, not the fucking corporations that she salivates over. I'm disgusted. Tulsi is not a friend of the people at all, hasn't been. And so at this point in time, remembering all the people that got on the team Tulsi, it's predictable. You could almost, without even knowing who they are, you can almost name the things they stood for, and it's gross. It's fucking gross. So there you go.
So what I think is dangerous about this is, to me, and I've gone around the country, there is a growing white supremacist movement in this country, and woke is code for say whatever you want, no matter how bigoted, no matter how, I mean, now you have Republican senators that are just straight up saying, oh, those people who want their reparations, hell no. They're the ones doing the crime. So she might have one or two good opinions on America's wars, even though she doesn't mind us droning half the world. She's never had a problem with that. She's apparently hates the Democratic Party deep state warmongers, but she's okay going to Africa to hunt Al-Qaeda. What the hell are we doing in Africa? It's just absolutely so transparently what she's doing. She realized, all right, I'm not going to be president, probably not going to be vice president. If I want to stay relevant, if I want to, get attention, I got to go the Fox News route. And that's exactly what she's doing. By the way, she's finishing her little tour de force today. She went on Joe Rogan, and now she's going on Tucker tonight on why I left the Democratic Party. I just want to show the Fox News celebration before we get back to you, Steve. Colin, can we show Fox News celebrating on this?
If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, and I invite you to join me.
Oh, Raymond, that's pretty powerful. And what stuck out to me, which I think encapsulates so much of what she said, was what we heard a moment ago. I believe in a government that is of, by, and for the people, but unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not.
Well, when I heard that, I thought of Ronald Reagan, Elon Musk, from time gone by and now. The party didn't leave them, or rather, they didn't leave the party left them. It changed, it warped, it became something they no longer recognized. And in the case of Tulsi Gabbard, I have to tell you, it breaks my heart that we don't have a fully functional Democratic Party today.
Goodbye, Democratic Party. I'm going someplace else. We don't know if she's going to declare herself an independent or a Republican, although she did speak at CPAC, I believe, 6 months ago.
Well, look, I think Tulsi is somebody who has always spoken her own mind. She's always been sort of an independent maverick. And I think when she ran for president, she realized how really isolated she was from the great majority of the Democratic Party, which is now, frankly, a pretty weird party.
I just want to give a historical backdrop before we get back to you, Steve. Ronald Reagan actually left the Democratic Party when the Democratic Party started to get a little better on civil rights in the 1960s. Not a lot of bit better, but at least, LBJ, the Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Movement. That's when Ronald Reagan left. Or, Democratic Party got too woke to allow black people to vote. That's when Ronald Reagan, do your homework, started shifting away from the Democratic Party. The last thing I'll say about this is, you want to know something? At the end of the day, I think we've learned over the years, don't have blind adoration for anyone. Politicians, media figures, including us, follow people's actions. And Tulsi Gabbard's actions over the last 2 years, I don't care if you leave the Democratic Party, whatever. We're not like, rah-rah Democrats here. I don't care if you get a Fox News show. But when and by the way, she's Hawaiian. She wants to talk about wokeness. Literally, those people have been colonized in Hawaii by the American mainland. Okay? You want to talk about oppression of the Hawaiian people. And she's sitting here talking about wokeness. She's for the Don't Say Gay bill, which is literally causing LGBTQ students to be more suicidal than they were before. Literally, you have LGBTQ people being outed by their teachers because of that law to parents before those students were ready to come out. You have black people that are being gagged in Florida from talking about black history at schools or in businesses. She's down with that because what? There's some out of control wine moms in Virginia. Tulsi Gabbard, go away. Your final thoughts on Tulsi?
And my final thoughts are, folks, I watch my tape. That was what I was saying through this. Watch my tape. Roll the tape back. Watch. I have never sat there and ever lauded Joe Biden. I've never sat there and lauded the Democratic Party. I've not seen them do anything esteemable. I haven't seen anything that is good about them. They claim that by standing against conservative, capitalist, neoliberal NATO and understanding what the IMF and all that shit do and the whole Ukraine, that you're a Putin puppet. See, this is the perversion of the two-party system. The two-party system, I don't even care about the system. I care about the beliefs. The two parties live to fight each other. This is older than dirt, folks. I mean, the Communist Manifesto, if you want to get all, oh, you socialist or whatever bullshit some assholes out there saying, if you want to go there, they've already talked about this kind of stuff, that parties exist for the sole purpose of using each other for fodder, nothing else. Literally nothing else. So I'm not into either of these things. I can't stand the Democratic Party, and I can't stand my former party, the Republican Party. What I really despise, however, is the concept. I'm looking at people being quote unquote woke. This concept of woke is an intentional veil to saying, I don't give a flying fuck about the people that are struggling with their identity. People like Dahmer, if you remember my grumble a few weeks back, people like Dahmer were stifled into being gay quietly and fucking oppressed and stifled, and all kinds of shit went wrong. This is the conservative mind. He was afraid to tell the conservative that he was gay. I want you to think about that. So this whole concept of being anti-woke is fucking sickening. But what you're really fighting about, what you're really saying, what you think you're saying anyway, what you should realize you're saying is you're against weaponized identity politics. And with that, we're in synchrony.